Hey, Broker Nation, Scott Beckford here on I Love Mortgage Brokering Live. Today on the show, we're going to have Angela Calla and Joel Olson talk to us about MPP, how they communicate to their clients, and why it's so important to have insurance once you take out a large mortgage. So if you're watching this show, you're probably a mortgage pro who's trying to scale your business. So we have a program called the Mortgage Blueprint. If you go to mortgageblueprint.io, we can help you scale your business. We've got a bunch of strategies that we have learned that have been very effective for that other people can take and apply to their businesses. We got lots of great feedback on it, so check out mortgageblueprint.io. And this show is sponsored by Pioneer West Acceptance Corp. Pioneer West has been a huge supporter of the I Love Mortgage Brokering community for a couple of years now, and they're a private lender based in BC and Alberta. And so if you're looking to do a private deal, please check those guys out. They're awesome people. They have great programs and great rates, and they're really fast turnaround time. So check out pioneerwest.com and Stiles Stewart, that whole office. They're amazing. And check out this show with Angela and Joel. I think you're going to love it. I Love Mortgage Brokering Live, and this show I'm going to be talking to Joel Olson, one of my buddies, who's a mortgage guy, and he's incredibly creative. He's a huge dude. We always, when we go to conferences, we're like conference buddies. We hang out together, and he's really good at MPP. And so what I want to talk about on this show is MPP, because it's never been an area of strength for me. That's one of the things that I definitely want to chat with him about. But then this show is sponsored by Pioneer West Acceptance Corp. So if you're a broker looking for a deal in BC or Alberta, they do private lending. The guys are fantastic. Stiles over there, like, he's an awesome dude and has been a huge supporter of our community. So please, go help those guys out or send them some business. I'd really appreciate it. And Joel, so welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, as per usual.
And so I've had you a couple times on the show now. You spoke at Broker Talks with me, and dude, I just love your energy. I love your creativity. And we were talking before we went live about how you had how many videos do you have now in your mortgage process?
Yeah, just about 30 different ones we use.
So
I'm no Alex McFadden. I'm not as good as him, but I got 30.
Okay, videos. So this is it. We're going to talk about MPP, but you got me because of my ADD. I can't help myself. So tell me about what does that look like? So when are you sending out videos, and what is the purpose of these videos?
So send out one video right after they get right after they call me and do a discovery call. That's about, hey, thanks for calling me. My team's going to be reaching out to you. Anything like that. Anything regarding documents. Hey, the documents are going to be now we're really focused on the fact that the documents are going to be a disaster. We can't predict what's going to happen. We know you're going to hate us during the process. It's going to be terrible. We're going to ask you for things 16 times, and then we'll go into how it's it's kind of like we're doing the big thing around the airplane story now. It's kind of like when you take a flight, you don't know about all the different turbulences, all the different delays, all the different things that happen. And I want to let you know that I can't predict any of that. I think it's going to be a rough ride. I'm just really good at landing the plane. So we talked about that in video one. Video two is all our guarantees. We talk about guarantees around home inspections, which I talked about before, home inspections, different things we do during the process, and a reminder on that. We do a video when it's pending with a lender. We do a video when it's done, when we sign documents, reminding them the next steps in the process, not to remove conditions until we tell them. We do another video right at closing to just thank them for the business. And then we also have a series of a drip campaign of closing videos from the time that we do, time that they go unconditional or everything's done to the time they close the deal. And that's all closing tips. So those are all 30 seconds to 1 minute, and they're all around just things that we see that goes wrong in closing. So one's on house insurance, because some people don't even remember to get house insurance, and then one's on not going anywhere during closing, like don't go and camp in the boonies and live in
with no cell service and stuff.
On closing, we have one on. We send an email called the numbers email, which just goes. It's basically our mock statement of adjustments. We send out to clients, so we have a video around that. Hey, here's the numbers. If anything's wrong, let us know. And all that type of thing. We talk about the lawyer processes. We talk about.
This is so good. If I'm making faces, it's because I'm like, this is so freaking good. I can hardly contain myself. I'm like, I want to jump in. Okay, so dude, this is crazy. Okay, so rather than give me the whole list, because you can obviously anytime that you're doing a communication, you can just create a video around it. What are you using to record the videos? What are you using to send the videos? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so I'm using BombBomb, and so BombBomb, and we're sending them manually, and then we're finding that because like our process is quite robust on the different things we do. Like we have a lot of different touch points. There are videos and physical items, and so I've hired someone on Upwork to put our whole process into Trello, and then put them all through Zapier. So they're trickling out, and a little more automated like that.
Right.
So,
Okay. So, hey, this is a question because you're a geek, geek like me on this stuff. But so, can you actually trigger a video send from an action in Trello? So you do an action in Trello, and it goes to Zapier, then to BombBomb. Can you do that?
Yeah. So you can. I don't know how it's done, but I hired some. I mean, the best thing you can learn to do is you use something like Upwork or Fiverr and say, this is what I need done. I don't need to know how to do it. I just this is how I need it to work. And so I've hired someone that's done that for me. We're just baiting that kind of stuff. But I find because right now, like my assistant says about manually, but there can be a little bit too much of a gap depending on how, quick a client comes in or how quick a closing is. And this just, automates it a bit more from that perspective. Right. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if none of that made any sense to you, don't worry about it. But I'm a Trello fan and a Zapier fan, so I had to ask about the so BombBomb and the videos, and then Upwork or somebody. I agree with you. I had this lead tracker sheet that I have that I've shared with lots of people. They're like, how did you make that? I'm like, I didn't make it. I just hired somebody on Upwork or on Fiverr, and I'm like, hey, this is what I want it to do. And they don't as a mortgage broker, you don't get paid to create spreadsheets. You get paid to come up with a plan, to build rapport, build relationships, and you should just get someone else to do that for you. That's just crazy town to try to figure that out on your own.
Yeah, I don't know much how to work that kind of stuff. I don't even know how to set up a Zap, to be honest. I just decided that I was like, well, it's very inexpensive to use something like Upwork for that, right? So
I agreed. Okay, so dude, that was just a little mini lesson on video marketing and so last question on this, how are your clients getting these videos from you versus what you were doing in the past?
Yeah, look, I mean, we always have mixed results on things. Like, for everything that one person likes, some people don't like. And it's just important to always stay the course and realize that, we use a lot of different communication methods. And so I realize that, not everyone's going to like everything we do. They're going to like a couple things we do. And it's better to over communicate rather than it is to say, okay, the easy thing is to go, well, I have to do everything face to face because, that's the way my clients like it. Well, that's not true. Some of your clients, they just like the feeling of being face to face. So how do you reproduce the feeling and the rapport that you build on a face-to-face meeting, and how do you make them feel the same way? And that involves you saying, okay, I'm going to have a process around videos. I'm going to have a process around voicemails and text messages. I have a client care person on my team, and her job every day is just to call clients, say, this is where we're at, calm nerves. So, we're just using a variety of methods to kind of do that. So some people hate videos for whatever reason, right? But, it doesn't, but some people, some people find them very helpful, really useful. And so, we're just hitting people on a lot of points, and we're hitting people on, we're also trying to hit people on points, especially with the closing videos, trying to hit people on points that avoid every awkward conversation. So I made a list last year in September and said, what's everything that I get called for as the lawyer that becomes a problem? And it doesn't matter at that point whether you can say, well, no, we did talk about this or we didn't talk about this. It just matters what the client feels like. And so what are each of those things so I can make sure I address up front? And we're always making adjustments around that, but and clients certainly receive them in a different way, but at the very least, it sparks a conversation earlier, right? So,
right,
all that kind of thing, right? So
that's really good. Okay, so I didn't even tell you the backstory on you. We just dove right into this without hey, this is Joel, and so I can see so this is the thing. This is only the fourth or fifth time I can see this black sheet behind me. You're not supposed to see the sides, and it kind of looks a little bit like a dog's breakfast, but that's okay. Yeah. So Joel is a mortgage. How long have you been in the business, Joel?
Started 2009, so just about 9 years.
9 years, and Joel is an incredibly creative guy. He worked initially, you're from a small community and kind of built your business from the small communities and took over 2 or 3 small communities, moved to Kamloops, and so now you have your business is primarily in the Kamloops region. But where are you located? Can you say where you're located, or is it undisclosed?
Yeah, so I mean, right now, today, I'm in New York, so that's where I like to live. And so I lived there for 6 months last year. We traveled around a lot with my family. I have 4 kids. And so we went to Europe, and I run my business almost 100% remotely. So today I'm in my apartment on the Upper East Side, which is kind of where I'm, planning to hang out for a while.
Is it a laptop that you have there? What do you have what camera do you have?
Yeah, I have a laptop.
Can you spin it so I can look out your window? I just want to see what like.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know.
Can I see anything?
Really well.
Oh, okay. I just want to see the. Sorry. Okay. It's New York, live from New York. It's I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to see the, and so yeah,
I'm 30 blocks from NBC studio. So
okay, and so the reason I want to bring that up is that you started out initially with a business that was way more face to face, and now has transitioned, and your business is still growing. You're still, you basically set up your business on your own terms. And some of the ways you've done this is by using video and other communication strategies to, make your clients be more cared for. Probably, do you feel like your clients are more cared for now than they were like a year ago?
I think we have to be a lot more intentional in the process, right? So, you can, you have to make a lot more things count. You have to make your conversations intentional. I have, 3 conversations that are very intentional that I have with the client, and I have to make sure those are tight and those are good and those are, I've thought about everything through. I still run with a checklist on every conversation to make sure we talk about this.
Oh, can you say that one more time? Because I talk about this all. Do you do what on every single conversation?
I use a checklist for every conversation still.
Yeah.
So to make sure I don't read it. Oh, I do write out a script actually. So I actually have a script for every conversation and I rewrite it out every 6 months and I'll actually type it out as if I'm talking, but I don't use a script on the phone. Everyone has their own skill levels, but I feel confident enough that I can actually communicate well on the phone, but I do write it out. So if I'm talking to somebody, I always have it accessible. So I'm weaving in important parts of the conversation that I want to touch base on. So, 2 really good things we're weaving into conversations right now is the airplane thing I talk about. We talk a lot about how the deal is going to be a disaster and how everything's going to fall
It's going to be, so you actually set it up. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be like crashing a plane, but it's okay. I'm perfect at crashing planes. I'm good at them.
Yeah. So, and I might say look, don't let me fix your car. Don't let me cook you a meal. Don't let me fix your house. The only thing you ever want me to do for you is to work on your mortgage. So that, and then we've gotten really intentional about how we ask for referrals. And so we've stopped going, hey, do you know anyone that might, that we could help out? Every conversation we now go, hey, who do you know that we can help out with a mortgage or a refinance? And then we just leave it absolutely silent. And people in their awkwardness always give us their friends' names.
That's so good. You know what you do?
It's hard to do.
The trick is to put your phone on mute. As soon as you finish talking, you hit mute on your phone so you can't actually talk. And then you just wait. That's so good. Okay, so we're supposed to talk about MPP because that's something I wanted to talk to you about. And so you tell me about, let's switch to MPP. So do you remember back in the 90s, there was a song, You Down with OPP? It's not, and I was thinking we could do a song, You Down with MPP. Can you rap it all, Joel?
Oh. No, I think I know what song you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just, maybe it's I'm a little bit older than you, so you'd be like, I don't know what he's talking about. So I want to talk about MPP. So tell me, and what is your, have you had pretty good success with it, right? In the last couple of years?
Yeah. Last year we didn't have as great of success as we had the previous year, but basically our success around it is that with MPP, we do a few things. A is that the goal is to be, I've set a new goal for my team is that 50% of people must take MPP. And so to some people that's ambitious, to some people oh, that's it. But, banks run about 52%. So if I can't equal up bank success, what am I doing? Right. So cause I know that I'm way better than they are. So, I gotta be able to do it that way. So, MPP, we have a few points that we discussed. So I discussed it in the sign. So I said, I do 3 intentional phone calls. So 1 is around the discovery call, 1 is around if we're doing a pre-approval call, and 3 is around the signing of the documents. And so signing of the documents, we start with a mortgage protection plan. We encourage all of our clients to take it, especially if they don't know what coverage it is. So we don't ever fall for the line that goes, hey, you know what? I'm already covered by work. Hey, work coverage is usually about $200,000. And what I always do, and what I do even with mortgages, is I tell people what is it that I have. So I have a $2 million policy because I have 4 kids, and my wife's going to have to, take care of it, do a lot of extra stuff, and this is why my policy the way it is. It only covers this, and away we go. Now, in that conversation, a lot of people still opt to go for it. We encourage them to take at least something, or take something, and if they can find out a better coverage after, cancel it after the fact.
Right.
after we've had the conversation, my client care coordinator on my team is responsible to continue to follow up with the client when they say to us, hey, I have it at work, no problem. She follows up right till closing. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you found your work policy. Oh, no, I didn't find it. Oh, well, did you find your... So she keeps following up until closing to make sure they've got adequate coverage. And that's just not about selling it. That's about making sure our clients are really well taken care of. And so at lots of times at that point now we're finding, it's a fairly recent thing, but we're finding that means that people go, oh, I found it and it's actually not really that great. Then if at closing they haven't taken it, we put them on a campaign, which is a quarterly campaign that we use live broadcast for, that we let them know that they're missing out on that. Hey, we just want to let you know you're not covered right now for life and disability insurance, and it keeps automatically following up every quarter.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't know what Slide Broadcast is, just maybe give us tell them what that is.
Right. So Slide Broadcast is a voicemail service. So I've recorded a voicemail, and so my assistant automatically sends out Slide Broadcast messages to anyone that doesn't sign up. She puts them on a campaign and leaves a voicemail for them every quarter until they sign up. And then when they sign up, we take it off. Or if they have sufficient coverage, like there's people that there's only about 10% of people that actually end up having a real good life insurance policy or something like that, right? So that's that. And then once a year, I've gotten the habit now of, as I personally call everyone, saying, hey, just as part of their mortgage review, hey, you don't have any coverage right now. Let's talk about what that means to you. I had a client when probably year 3, I was a broker, that I wasn't selling it very aggressively, and they really wanted it. And 3 weeks after closing, the wife got terminal cancer and she was covered. So, I tell that story to a lot of clients, not because it's not to guilt trip them, but because that's like a reality of things.
Right. And they didn't think that they needed that either. So, I know that. So I also asked Angela Calla, who's an amazing mortgage broker from the Lower Mainland, to come on as well. And so as Angela, I'm going to come back and ask you some questions about that. But I know Angela has she's got a limited amount of time. So I just want to maybe chat with Angela for a second. And hey, how are you?
Hi, good. You?
Hey, thanks for coming on. So before I ask you questions because I want to just know what kind of time do you have for our chat today?
I have another call that I have to hop on at noon.
Okay, so
what time is it now? 11:30. Pardon me.
Okay, what time is it right now? I don't even.
It's 3 after 11.
Okay, so you got a bit of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just how about this? I'm going to finish up my conversation with Joel, and then I'm going to come back and I want to chat with you about some of the stuff that you're doing. So and I know you do radio too. So actually, I want to ask you a little bit about that. So maybe just bring me back to Joel, because I don't control any of the stuff in here, and then I'll be back in like 3 minutes. I'm waiting for Joel. Okay, a couple of questions I want to ask you on this, Joel, and thank you for sharing. So, before you made these changes to your MPP strategy, what were your numbers like, and what are they like now? Like, what's the sort of this much intentionality must be creating a different result for you?
Yeah, I mean, so we always were ranking around 25 to 30%. And, we're we're about 5% difference right now, but we're still pretty early on some of that stuff. The other thing is that last year when MP Suite changed over, some lenders that we use, they weren't shooting out the quote numbers on the form. So we changed that to make sure that we were doing it manually. We found that if people are more likely to take it if they had the actual number in front of them, right? So because that really decreased our amount of MPCP we sold last year. People are like, it's just a quote. They couldn't, they want to have all the numbers in front of them, right?
Right. They want to make a decision.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. So we put that extra step in. So we're still in the last 90 days, we're hovering into about 45% now. So we got to get that a little bit higher. But that's much higher than we were before.
That's awesome. So it's okay with you if you can still stay on. Because if anybody's checking us out on Facebook Live, when you want to ask questions, please put a question in the sidebar there, and we'll get them. And if we'll give away a mug, so you can get an ILMB Mortgage Brokering Live mug by asking a question. So I'm going to bribe you to ask us some questions. So just stay on, Joel. But I'm going to have a conversation with Angela now and chat with her, and you can sit in, and then at the end we'll take some questions. Sound good? Okay, so Angela, welcome to the ILMB Mortgage Brokering Live. I really appreciate you coming on with us today. I know that you're crazy busy, and so tell me a little bit about yourself, because in case people don't know, you've been in the mortgage business how long?
14 years. I've been a mortgage broker since 2004, and fortunately, since about 2006, I've been rated as one of the top mortgage brokers in Canada by CMP, and had an incredible journey along the way.
Cool. And you also do radio, right? So tell me about like how long you've been doing the radio show, and how's that going?
It's going great. I've been doing media simultaneously to my mortgage career since 2006. And actually, I started out with television. I started out with a show called Realty Television on City TV back in 2006. And that just snowballed the other opportunities that came as a result of being noticed, I guess.
Right. That's good. You built your brand. And you're located in Port Coquitlam?
Yeah, my office is in Port Coquitlam. I reside in Port Moody, and the Tri-Cities are all very, very tight. So being a Tri-Cities resident, obviously we do a lot of business with the neighboring
in those areas. Okay. And so I know that one of the things that we are good at is MPP. So I just wanted to ask you about what does your process look like, and tell me about how you've been so effective with MPP.
I am a very blunt person. And in my opinion, if you can't afford mortgage insurance, you can't afford to own a home. I don't understand how anybody can own something that they can't afford to protect. So they kind of go hand in hand for me. And we just share the stories, and we relay that it is free. And again, we just share the stories of the people who are not successful in following through with our recommendation. And unfortunately, it comes with great loss. I mean, I think when you're authentic with people and you ask them if they've ever been through being by anyone's side who's had a health issue, the amount of emotional stress that's associated with it is at a super heightened awareness. Mm-hmm. And if you can relieve the financial tension that's associated with it, then at least you can just focus on getting better. But you are a complete inconvenience to absolutely everybody around you if you haven't adulted and got yourself insurance. Because
that's really good. You haven't adulted.
It's true, though. I mean, have you ever dealt with someone who's had a serious medical issue and you're sitting at the hospital with them, and now you're not going to work, and now what are you doing with your kids? And it all can be avoided. Right. I mean, that part can't be avoided, but the financial stress can. So when you think about it that way, if you're working with people that think they're invincible, it's kind of a tough core value fit, you know?
Right. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, so if I'm a potential customer, I'm a customer of yours, and at what point do you enter, like in your process, when do you start mentioning it, and like when do you bring it up again? Just so I want to walk through that, because I think it'll be helpful for people who maybe they're struggling with, they know their clients need it, but they're like, I don't know, how do I do this? I feel weird. So just walk me through when in your process, when's the first time you bring it up?
I guess it depends on the maturity of the client. And once we've identified the intel of who we're working with, then we can determine at what point it's essential to bring it in. I think when you're working with a first-time home buyer, they need to know that there's things besides a mortgage that also they will need to budget for. And so, we do bring that up preliminarily in the introductory process for a first-time home buyer. But if we're dealing with someone that the majority of our business is really renewals and refinances, so we're generally saving them a lot of money when it comes to their mortgage. And so when we're presenting them that option, it's kind of a no-brainer. Still, not everybody takes it, but at least when we've been very clear and blunt about it, one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about, obviously, the clients having it is that the banks use it as a retention tool. And if they end up getting it directly with the bank, then there's a significant likelihood the older they are that I'm not going to be able to move their mortgage and for whatever's best for them. So it ends up adding to their overall cost of borrowing. And then secondly, of course, the emotional component that is so significant and important to understand that's associated with it.
Right.
The liability. People never, and another thing is, I mean, I've helped thousands of British Columbians. And let me tell you, I've learned a lot about psychology. And when something like that happens, everybody likes to play the blame game.
Right.
I mean, if I'm going to be real with you, something happens and they say, what do you mean I didn't get it? I'm not one of those people that thinks nothing can happen to me. Oh, I wasn't sure I really understood the benefits. When variable rates went up, I didn't take a variable rate. I wanted a fixed rate. I mean, it's human nature, unfortunately. Right. And not a lot of people take the from within type approach, even though I feel it's the best approach all the time is to understand what role each individual plays into it. But the reality is it's such an emotional time that it's easy to want to draw a conclusion or to try to
point the finger at someone else. Say it was, you didn't explain it to me, or I would have taken it, that kind of conversation.
Yeah. So that's why I make it a real point to be blunt about it. And also, my team, the members of my team are the ones who sign the majority of the mortgage clients, but they all share the same core value and same passion. So, because they all share that same core value and that same passion, it's delivered in the same way. And they relay that, we're very passionate about it because of what we're used to with the thousands of people that we've helped, experience, and what we've been through leaves clues.
Right. One of the things I would love to hear maybe some of your examples that you share with clients, because it's always the stories are what people remember. And so one of the things that happened to one of my clients is he got his mortgage through his bank, got his life insurance through his bank, and then many years go by, and then he decides he wants to take money out to help out his son, and he goes there and they said, "Sorry, we can't help you. We're not giving you any more. We can't give you any more money because you're self-employed." He came to me, we got him approved, but now he had to go. His life insurance was significantly higher. Well, his mortgage went up a bit, but it was significantly higher because he had aged so much. And so it was he should have got that separate and not had it tied with his bank, because the bank didn't want to help him. So give me some examples of when you're having a conversation with a client, because you can use the numbers all you want, but it's usually the story that's going to make them go, "Oh, this is." So give me some examples of stories or that if you've seen in your career and the thousands of clients that have been helpful for communicating this.
Well, I have dozens of examples, but the first one that comes to mind is I had a husband and wife that were buying a house. They were moving from a condo to a house, and the husband had a heart attack and dropped dead in between the subject removal and closing. And as a result of them having MPP, the wife was able to pick up the pieces and at least provide a home for her family during the time that was very difficult for her. So, and it was an interesting one because they really fought me. They were really saying, "Oh, well, it's expensive." And it wasn't expensive. I think it was like $30 a month or something. But they were watching all the pennies. And I said, don't be penny wise, pound foolish. You never know. And I don't think you can afford to buy this home if you can't afford $30 a month. For the additional policy. And so they listened, they took it, not by their own will, but I guess really by my forceful hand. And it ended up working out for them.
Right.
And,
they were not willing, but it actually ended up because you were blunt and because you were looking out for their interests. You actually, you served them better than just by saying, "Okay, fine, don't bother. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Instead of just being an order taker, I'm not a waitress, so if you come to me for professional advice, I'm going to give it to you, right?
Right. Yeah.
And another, you're relying on my expertise. So if I'm not authentic with you about my expertise, then how am I being the best that I can be for you?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. Another example is I had an electrician that was going from being an employee to having his own electrical company and being a subcontractor, and the wife was a stay-at-home mother. And they took it and they canceled it 3 months later after they had gone through the process. And then they called me about a year later, and the husband was in the hospital for months with some type of rare blood disorder. And they called me to check if they had coverage. And thankfully, MPP records all their conversations with clients. And so they had the cancellation live because the client didn't remember canceling. Right. They remembered signing with me, but they didn't remember canceling. And, but then of course, when that was brought to their attention, I was upset. I was sad because it's such a horrible experience to have to sit beside a loved one and have the stress of the loss of income and your health being your number one priority. It's just an unnecessary stress. And in my opinion, it's just irresponsible.
Right. So if you don't mind me asking, so what are your numbers like in terms of the number of clients that when they go through your process that actually come out and say, "Yeah, that's something that I'm going to do"?
30 to 35%.
On average. And then you said, so you're doing a lot of renewal refinance business right now. So walk to me through what that conversation looks like. So you in the renewal refinance conversation, you identify whether they have insurance, or what is that? I'm curious what you're doing there.
Yeah. We look at their mortgage statement, and if they've got mortgage insurance there, we definitely have a conversation about them, because we've been burned before where someone has had mortgage insurance directly with the bank. And of course, just like you had demonstrated, we're not able to help them because now they've had a health issue and now their insurance would be so high.
Mm-hmm.
So we've learned that. So the first thing that we do is we look for clues on the mortgage statement to identify if there is mortgage insurance on it and let them know about that. And if they don't have any, then we talk about it. Because we do so many refinances and renewals, more so than home purchases, a lot of our clients are older and they say, if something happens to me, I've got a lot of equity, tough. I can live with it. I can sell my house and not be upset by it. So if that's their choice, that's their choice. We've shared with them what we need to share with them. We advise, they decide. But at least, again, if we're authentic with the experiences that we've had and we bring these stories to their attention, not only have we gotten rid of the liability because they've signed a waiver, but we've also been so blunt that it's hard to forget the conversation.
Right. That's really good. I love that you just said, we advise, they decide. So, and you'd mentioned about we're not a waitress, you're not an order taker. And I think sometimes mortgage brokers get sucked into basically just the client says jump, and that's not our job. We're supposed to be consultant. We're not just going to give them something if it's going to be bad for them. So I think it's
right. Well, also it's a heavy, if you've read the book Willpower, it's just a matter of how badly we've been beaten down too. At the end of the day, when you've repeated yourself 300 times about the same issue and someone's still beating you down, yeah, once in a while you're going to be an order taker because you're absolutely exhausted of repeating yourself. It's like with your kids. If your kids are beating you down for a treat.
They don't do that. They don't do that. Yeah, they do. They do all the time.
It depends on your willpower, right? But, obviously we have to be strong and we have to be, we have to be a leader.
Right. That's really good. Thank you for that. Okay. So if anybody is there any questions, Matt? I can't see that because of the setup. I don't even know what's going on Facebook. So anybody have any questions for Joel or for Angela? Because I know that we've got to be wrapped up here pretty soon.
Yeah. We had Earl say, I've heard the mortgage, people will say, I've heard mortgage insurance is a ripoff. How do you approach that argument where people just really don't believe you?
Okay. Maybe you go first, Angela.
Sorry, Scott. I'm sorry. Did you want me to go?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah, I want you to hear your take on this.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we feel that MPP is the most natural fit because it can follow you and not the lender. And it is a ripoff, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, if you take it directly with a lender because you're essentially pigeonholing yourself. So take the MPP and then seek independent advice because maybe you're better off with the whole life policy. Maybe there's something that is better for your entire financial situation. But in terms of you leaving my office to be protected in the best way possible, you're crazy not to take the MPP.
Right. Joel, how would you respond to that?
Oh, I usually say that it might be a ripoff. We don't know that yet. We don't know if you're covered or not covered. I want you to make sure you have something you go to the office. But I'll send you to a financial planner, and he can determine if it's a ripoff or not. The person that convinced me to sell the most MPP in my career was a financial planner that said, stop sending me people that I'm just going to, that I'm not able to get coverage for. Because we don't know. You're declined for life insurance, not based on the fact that just because, you're young and you look healthy, family history, lots of those things can play into getting a proper life insurance policy. Right. So, especially if you've had problems getting, stuff before, it's still going to be a cheaper deal, right? So, so that is certainly, but we also got to be real. I love throwing out stats. Anything I do in mortgages, I try to throw out a lot of stats. The statistics are 91% of policies by TD do not pay out, right? So,
yeah.
And so you don't have to go very far to find that the statistics are very contrary with MPP. It's escaping me right now, the stat, but I have it somewhere. But I think it's almost the flip on what pays out with MPP. And, you don't have to go to too many fifth estate videos to find out, hey, yeah, look, there is bank policies that are pretty crappy policies, right? So.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Any other questions there, Maddie?
Brad Lockey wants to know the Willpower book, Angela. Who is it written by?
It's on my phone. I can get it after the show. It's on my phone and I don't want to mess up our call here. So.
Okay. But is it a new book or an old book?
I have to look on my phone. It's on my Audible. Ever since Audible has come out, that's usually how I get my books. So I don't really look at the
cover or anything
at the year, but and also going through the process of writing my own book that'll be coming out in September. I have been
what? I didn't know this. What is the book about?
Oh, drop the mic.
Yeah,
It's
Mike.
called the Mortgage Intelligence Advantage.
Okay,
And
well, when it
it's
comes out, you
really-
let us know, and we'll help you like get the word out so that people can.
Aw, that's so kind.
When it's
Thank you.
when the time comes, so that's amazing. That's so awesome. So the mortgage intelligence. What's it, the?
hang on, I think I have I'm going to try to bring you over to the. Can you see the? There you
Oh,
go.
nice. That's the cover.
Yeah. So that's the mock-up of the cover. They still need to make a few little minor changes, but yeah, we're just going through the manuscript right now. We're in final editing, and it'll be out. So
That's
by
awesome.
the time we actually do the live media launch, I hope it'll be a Canadian bestseller, but we'll see.
Okay, and you let us know. We'll help you as well. Push it out to our community with what you're doing. That's amazing. So, any other questions there, Matt?
Bernard says he loves the quote, "I'm not a waitress, so if you come to me for professional advice, I'm not going to give it to you." He thought that was hilarious.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm having a little fun today. You know, I'm not being like my
Your
professional
radio voice. Yeah, use your radio. Do you have a radio voice? I don't really think I do, but
sometimes I catch myself. If I'm on a roll, I tend to have a specific tone. But you guys are just my friends. I'm just
talking. Okay,
I'm just
cool.
talking with you guys with like my friends. So.
Right. So actually somebody commented on the willpower book, Curtis Arnold. Is it willpower rediscovering the greatest human strength? Is that what it's called? Okay, so then
Okay, 1 second. I will find it. One second.
Okay, if we lose Angela, we know
Okay.
she's gone to the book.
Okay.
Right. And then
Here it is. Okay. It's Willpower Rediscovering the Greatest by Roy Brewmeister and John Tierney.
right, nice. So Curtis got it.
Yes.
High marks for Curtis Arnold online. Well done. And then
Okay.
I think everyone loves the stories. So do you guys have any other stories that come to mind when talking about MPP? Either good thing they had it, or shoot, I really wish they did.
I don't know. I've had more clients be happy that they've had it than not. And of course, when they haven't done it, it's like the most sickening phone call. I hate it. I feel so sick to my stomach when someone calls to verify if they have it. Whenever they call to verify if they have it, it's always a no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people know when they have it. And when they don't have it, they're also trying. Unfortunately, what experience has demonstrated to me is that they know they don't have it and they're going to try to place blame.
Right. What about you, Joel? Any last words?
Yeah, I feel like a pretty big rookie compared to Angela over there. So, I mean, I'm going to write a book too. It's called Be the Best Broker.
Hey, that's Trump. You might get sued. I know somebody.
I'm going to do 3 volumes. One's going to be a black cover, red cover, and blue cover.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome. Okay, well, hey guys, I really appreciate your time today and coming in and sharing with the community about how to MPP and other parts of your business. So, and Angela, definitely reach out to me when that book goes live, and we would love to help you promote it. And thanks for everybody that tuned in live and even checking this out later. And again, we're going to do these every Tuesday. And if you ask questions, good things happen. So thanks so much for being part of this community. We really appreciate it.